Hello and welcome to the Corgi Town USA podcast. I am Candy. In my lap is Chuckles.
Right there.
And next to me is Kat.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Corgi Town USA podcast.
Were you going to critique some production just now?
I don't have my glasses on, so I cannot see the screen. And I just saw the word recording, but it says stop recording, not start recording. I saw an S. I saw the word recording. Next to me on the floor is Booger and my own little boy, Digby.
Who has a crush on Booger.
Weird.
We have to watch that one.
I know.
He gets surly.
He does.
We also have Mortimer Barnabas.
Yes.
And somewhere around here is Hammer, our little DM Corgi who uses a wheelchair.
Yes.
So we have the entire Corgi committee. Chuckles hopefully will pop his head up. He really is liking laying in my lap lately. It's a nice warm place.
That's right.
There's plenty of mass for him to spread out, enjoy himself. But if you are new here, hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We are a podcast for pets and their people. We are Corgi and dog centric. We like to bring you content that is helpful as traveling with your dog, traveling with your Corgi, traveling with your pets.
Right.
Things like pet lifestyle, health of the breed, health of dogs, things that just kind of enrich our lives and how we can make our lives better with our dogs.
Right. And how we can make our dogs' lives better as well.
100%. So we have a very special guests today, guests plural.
Yes.
We have discovered, we came across Kano's story. Kano is an English Bulldog. And we have a couple that has adopted him and they have a very tear-jerking story. But what we're focusing on today is how the law sees pets as property, like you would any household item, and what we can do to kind of change that. And so please buckle up with us. This will be a little bit of a tearjerker.
Go get your tissues now.
Yes, get your tissues ready. It's very moving, but it's something that needs to be said and the story needs to be heard. We have a call to action.
And a call to action that's very important.
Yes. So should we bring our guests on?
Absolutely.
So slowly here, I am going to bring on Mitch, a.k.a. Landon Axel, his girlfriend, Sofia.
Hi.
And their attorney at law, Christina Bergston.
Yes. So hello and welcome, everyone.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
It's our pleasure. We are going to get started and let you tell us your story. Please just start from the beginning. For those who are not familiar, I think your TikTok is very popular, so you have quite a few followers, which is good. I love the interest. But our followers at Corgi Town USA may not have heard. So if you'd be so kind just to, and I know it's very heartfelt, but please start from the beginning and tell us the story.
Sure.
I'm going to let her do all the talking.
Okay, perfect.
So she is, Sofia is the one who is involved with everything. And I am here trying to push it out on my platform and everything like that. And Kano and I have bonded in insane ways, to say the least. And I
understand.
Yes.
Yeah. It's okay.
But I'm just gonna let Sofia talk.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So around February 14th of 2022, I had a coworker approach me. She had mentioned that there was a dog in a family home, her mother's home, that was not being properly cared for, didn't really go into detail. And she asked me if I would temporarily watch him for a while. I said, yes, absolutely. I would love to help. When he arrived at my doorstep on February 18th, I was blown away by what I saw. He was very emaciated.
Okay.
he looked gray from the dandruff. His
Mhm.
eyes were the brightest shade of red I had ever seen. His lips were cracked and bleeding. His nails were overgrown. There was like conjunctivitis or pus coming out of his eyes. And I quickly realized this was a very unwell dog. Obviously, he had not been properly cared for. So that was alarming, to say the least. But over the course of several months under my care, he gained over 30 pounds. We had to teach him how to feed properly because he was trying to gorge himself. So we got him a maize bowl. We house trained him. We taught him commands and tricks and how to walk properly on a leash and manners and that sort of thing. And he really thrived. And I think it was, for me personally, I learned a lot. I've grown up with dogs, but I've never owned one myself. And I learned a lot from him. He taught me, what all animals do, which is patience and love and
Definitely.
laughter. Yeah, a lot of
Definitely.
patience.
A lot of patience. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
If I may interject, it was to say he didn't know one single command. That is as honest as we can get. He didn't know how to sit, didn't know how to lay down. He didn't even know how.
Yeah, he didn't know how to
You know what? I
play.
did all my crying. He didn't even know how to play with a toy. Like we
Baby.
had to teach him that, hey, you tug on this one, you chase this one, you thrash this one. He had no idea what to do. So, and now he's at the point where he can give us a high five if he wants.
Oh my.
yeah.
And how may I ask how old was he when you got him, or approximately?
Eat your
So there
microphone.
wasn't unfortunately a lot of information on him. I had requested a lot and did not receive any. So I had originally been told that he was 2 or over, and then
Okay.
the vet determined that he was actually closer to 1. So he was young. He wasn't quite a puppy, but he was young. So probably between a year and 3 months.
Goodness.
Goodness.
Well, and it sounds like, so I have a couple of rescues. I have
Yeah.
Hammer, who he has degenerative myelopathy. He uses a wheelchair. He just received his DM diagnosis this year, and he's been with me since 2014. But he had hip dysplasia and other things. He was actually in more favorable conditions.
Yes,
But the
he was.
reason why I say that is I also rescued Booger, my girl, and very similar to how you describe Kano. It's heartbreaking because you think, why do people get dogs if they're going to do this to them?
Right.
But I don't think she had ever been inside. I think she had been outside her whole life, and it sounds like maybe Kano was similar.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the information that I received from my coworker was that Kano lived in her mother's home with another dog. The house at the time that Kano was removed from the home had no heat. Um, and
And you live in New Jersey, right?
I am in New Jersey, correct?
That is not a place to not have heat.
No, I
Yeah, well, he's from Pennsylvania, actually.
okay.
Still cold.
Still
Yes.
very cold. I
Oh,
grew
yes.
up in New York. I grew up in New York. I know New Jersey, and Pennsylvania is even colder.
Is it? Yeah, it's cold.
because of the mountains, and it's cold.
You need heat.
You need heat.
Yeah.
And that time of year, February, I mean, we're
Yes.
still, the seasons have kind of prolonged. So we had a long winter. So it was cold.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, so unfortunately, the mother, my coworker's mother, she was not doing well.
Mhm.
There had been a death in the family sometime before, and I guess she just wasn't doing well. And the son that lived with her was incarcerated at the time. So he just kind of fell to neglect, unfortunately. So thankfully, we were able to take him in to my home and try and love him up as much as I could. And that's really all he wants, is just mama's attention all the time. So he's definitely a mama's boy. But yeah, so he thrived. And then sometime in April, we heard that the son was released from jail, and he began demanding his dog be returned. And that was really unfortunate because on March 26th, I had met not only with my coworker, but I had met with her mother, and the mother seemed very pleasant, and she had, to me, seemed moved, and she was very lovely. And she said, you know what? I see how happy he is. I can see that he loves you and you love him. Keep the dog. And I was, thank you so much. You know, we were,
Right.
I wiped a tear. I mean, she wiped a tear. It was really, really lovely. And we thought that we were going to be a family. And then for it to be ripped away from us, you know, a month and some change later, and have this man say, no, I want my dog back.
After
when we
you've
thought it
poured
was
all
already
this
done.
love and money and time and attention and focus.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
the veterinary care alone was extensive. I mean, he had double ear infections, infections of the eye, the skin, and between the toes. Luckily, he was heartworm negative, but we poured in a lot of time. That ear infection wouldn't go away for over a month. I mean, we treated it. We had to return 3 times. I mean, it was, it just wouldn't go away. So he was not doing well. He was not. We got him very much in the nick of time. He didn't have much time left, according to the vet.
Our veterinarian, wonderful, wonderful man from South Jersey. He, when we brought him in there, I think we had Kano for maybe a few days, and he's like, well, he seems fine. He's very close to not being able to continue living, and
he was a puppy. That's young.
And so he gave us the list of what we needed to do, and then I think about maybe a month later, we went back in, and the veterinarian was absolutely blown away by how bonded Sofia and Kano became. He said, I think his exact words were, I've never seen a dog bond this quickly to a human, you know, and even before, not even before, after that, you know, when we were told, go ahead and keep the dog, I'll tell my son, we were ecstatic, to say the least. I remember Sofia said, you know, they were wiping tears away. I was in the back seat, bawling my eyes out, holding Kano. I'm like, you hear that, buddy? We get to keep you.
Oh, I bet. Oh my goodness.
So, but I'll shut up and let Sofia continue.
No,
I just like
okay.
to interject and put my little things in here.
No, that's, you need to tell that story. That's, I mean, that is what it is. That means that the whole family has fallen in love with this precious little soul.
Right.
Oh,
And he's bonding with you. You rescued him and brought him back to being happy being a dog.
you should
Yeah.
see our one neighbor. He is he is a
He's not a neighbor. He's family.
Oh, he's family at this point. But
yeah,
I remember the first night we
yeah, that was hard.
the first, oh my goodness, give me a second.
The first night was hard.
The first night we had him, we were unsure if he was house trained, and we put him in a crate, and he just kept crying the whole night, and I couldn't deal with it. And I was like, you know, well, it helped me when I was a kid. It helped me when I was a kid. Let me sit down next to him. And I sat down and I played my ukulele for almost like an hour straight. And I was singing to him. And eventually he fell asleep. And when we came down the next morning, the butt wiggles, the excitement and everything was insane.
Oh.
Yeah, the crate was definitely a source of trauma for him. That is where he had been left for days at a time without food, water, the ability to relieve himself, toys. So that night when we went to put him in, you know, his breathing got rapid. He was looking around. He started getting frantic, and we were like, something. He's not happy here. So we're like, come on, buddy. We tried everything that I could look up online. You know, let's try a treat in there. Let's put a favorite toy in there. And finally we got him in, and he was so tired. He was falling asleep sitting up, and he just would not let himself fall asleep. And the next morning when I came down those stairs, the look of like, oh my God, you're back. Like, you came back for me. And he was so excited. And I think that's where the trust really started to develop between him and I, where he could say, okay, I have someone here that I can rely on. Like, this is, I am safe in this place. So, I mean, I wish I could say it was just me and Mitch that has rallied, but there's that saying, you know, it takes a village.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, I have met neighbors in my development I never would have known have existed without Kano, and we have become incredibly close. I call them my family. People that have been terrified of dogs for many, many years. They come out every morning to greet him on our walks. They ask about him. I've come home to toys on my front steps or a new harness, or I mean, people are rallying for him. They're rallying for him in ways that I could never imagine. And for me, it was very moving. And I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm a little more of an introvert than Mitch. And for me, I was just like, oh my God, we must be doing something right here, right? This is what
Absolutely.
humanity should be. We should be rallying together to do good, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's for ourselves or for others. So for me, it was really beautiful.
Oh yeah. And as you tell the story, thank goodness there's a lawyer here. This way I can keep my mouth
We have a
shut.
lawyer cat behavior.
I
So
know, the anger that is welling up inside of me right now, and the anger that I'm sure is welling up inside of our listeners right now is just it's too much. It's too much.
yeah.
Yeah. Anger, sadness. I mean, I can't imagine, you know, being in a dark, cold place, you know, not knowing when someone's going to be there for me. So I can't imagine what he's been through. We've been dealing with a lot of behavioral issues that a lot of trainers have said are lack of socialization, past traumas, things of that nature,
Right.
reactivity.
Yeah.
So I don't want people to think that it was a fairy tale, because there
Right.
was blood, sweat, and tears literally
yeah.
that have poured into Kano, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, it was so worth it just to see his arc so far, and I would love to continue to see how he grows in the future. But as far as the timeline, February we received him, March is when we met, and I was told that I could keep him. By the end of April, I was told that the brother wanted him back, and then in the summertime, I received a letter that I was being taken to court over custody of Kano, and unfortunately, we lost that case. So we are in the appeal process right now. And we are praying, and I really feel like we have a great team behind us. So I can't thank Christina enough, but I'm really praying that we get to keep our little guy.
Yes.
We're all right here with you.
We're right
He
here
needs
with
to
you.
be with you where
He
he's
needs to
loved
be-
and
yeah.
cared for.
And
Thank you.
and we will win this. We will.
We will.
Like
Yeah.
I tell Sophia this all the time, and like I know it's hard to see like right now in this moment because things look so dark and so drastic, but like look at the history throughout the world. The good guy has 99% of the time come out on top.
That's right.
So, and
right.
here's the thing, Kano's not just the good guy, he's the goodest boy. So
That's right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%.
his dog tag even says the goodest boy on it.
Aw.
He is the goodest boy. You go through hell and back
Yeah.
like that. You
Yeah.
are the goodest boy.
Yeah, blood, sweat, and tears. We even got the scars
Yeah.
to prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So-
Oh, yeah.
I would love to ask Christina, can you tell us, from you being the professional and handling this case, and I know there's some things you can't say being an appeal, but can you share with us why the case was lost in the best of your words? And that this happens to do with perspective, the courts, the law, the way they look at animals.
So yeah, I mean, to sum it up, so there was a different attorney handling it at the trial court level.
Okay.
And I think that to sum it up in a few words, that this ended the way it did at the trial court level because of apathy, ignorance, and laziness. The reading through the transcript of the initial proceedings, it was pretty clear that the judge handling the initial case did not care, did not do her homework, did not understand the law in New Jersey around pets. It is accurate to say that pets are property in the United States. Every single state, pets are property, unfortunately. And, you know, I can get on my soapbox as to why I think that is. But at the end of the day, that's what it says on the law books, no matter where you go. And
Feel free. We would love to hear some of that soapbox. I think it's
Yeah.
important for us to know from your perspective.
Okay, well, getting up on my soapbox as a vegan, the main reason why in the United States it's so hard to change the classification of pets from property to quasi-sentient beings or sentient beings or even family members is because of the agricultural industry and their lobbies. They're extremely powerful, especially in agricultural states like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Colorado. Those are all states I practice in, and so those are the ones I can speak to. But I mean, yeah, the dairy industry has an incredibly powerful lobby. Pennsylvania has a lot of Amish, and believe it or not, they have a very powerful lobby. So I mean, there's a lot of money in keeping animals designated as the same as a chair or a couch or a car. Honestly, I think cars have more rights than animals in this country. But I think that's the main challenge. And if you go, so what needs to be done to change these laws is people need to go and lobby their legislators, their city council members, their state representatives, their state senate. That's what needs to happen. It needs to be a monumentous movement. But the problem is that most people don't know that pets are property until they have a situation like this. And then, almost all my clients say, I can't believe my dog is no different than a couch. Most people don't know that because in society, we love animals, right?
Right.
And Americans spend over $7 billion a year on their pets. So in society, they're worth $7 billion and counting, but on the law books, they're worth the purchase price. So in this case, Kano's worth technically $0 because Sofia was given Kano, right? So that's his value. So I mean, I guess it just depends on where you want me to go. But I mean, at the end of the day, this case is a very good microcosm of a larger problem when it comes to pets and the law.
Okay. I have a question. The way you said that Kano is worth $0 because he was given. So
we're talking about verbal agreements.
Right. We're talking about verbal agreements. So if that's a case for our listening audience and something like that happens again. So I guess, for example, Digby is my boy, and Digby was a gift from Candy. Candy was fostering him, and Digby was a gift when my husband passed away. And I'm thinking theoretically, Candy could say, nope, Digby's mine, and you didn't pay for him. So in cases like that, is the first step maybe for me to give Candy $100 and write it up, but
or have a contract.
Give $1 if somebody's fostering. And then
would that apply there?
Would that apply? Yeah.
Question.
So I mean, there's a couple different questions within your question, and I'm not sure if you meant to ask them or not. So you're talking about gifts, contracts, verbal contracts versus written contracts,
protection.
Contracts.
I think is what you're asking. Is there a protection in this case so that we're here to call to action to how can we change this and lobbying and things, but in like Kano's story, how do we prevent this until we can get the change we need, would you say, as a lawyer, right? That's
it.
So I mean to answer, to speak to Sofia's case, and then to answer your question, generally speaking, I mean, Sofia didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing.
No, of course not.
Yeah, she couldn't have done anything differently. So I mean, if somebody gives you a dog or a cat or a ferret or whatever, and they give it as a gift, then in theory, you don't have to put it in writing.
Right.
However, as a lawyer, it doesn't happen unless it's in writing,
Sure.
Like Steve Banerjee and the Chippendales and the napkin deal where his business partner took over because they wrote it on a napkin. He lost his rights. Yeah.
I mean, you've got to to protect yourself, to protect your pets, put everything in writing, whether you're a pet sitter or a boarding facility, or you're just a friend watching a pet. Like, a lot of people come to me because they left their pet with a friend or a family member even while they went on vacation, and then they come back and the friend or family member doesn't want to give the pet back. So, I mean, you'd be surprised. People are nuts. And
that's terrifying.
Right.
That
So
it's
yeah, I mean, no matter how much you trust somebody, put it in writing. Like, you know,
okay.
if you're gonna have a friend or family member watch your pet for an extended period of time, you put it in writing. You say, I'm gonna pay you X amount every month for food and care and vet bills and boarding costs. You know, part of the problem that this case in particular has, which isn't common in my cases, is that there was a contract. There was a contract of fostering, and that's what the contract said. And then the contract was amended by a verbal agreement, and so the plaintiffs were able to use that against Sofia at the lower court level. And this is where I'm talking about the apathy, the laziness, the ignorance come into play, because the judge looked at it and said, the judge's reasoning doesn't make any sense, but basically the judge was like, there's a contract, case over, done. Like, I'm not analyzing this any further. And
Right.
a lot of judges will do that because they're lazy and because they think, oh, I don't want to get overturned on appeal. Well, guess what, judge? Like, you made so many mistakes in this case. This case should have been thrown out from the very beginning. But she made so many mistakes in this case that, yeah, we have ample grounds to take it up on appeal, and I'm very confident that we're going to win the appeal. The problem is time, right?
Yeah.
Now Sofia has the sheriff breathing down her neck because the plaintiffs have asked the sheriff to go and physically take Kano from her.
Oh, so you have him now?
They do, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that kind of, I'm breathing a sigh of relief right now, because my first thought was, what is his condition at this point?
What is this bleep bleep doing to this poor dog? Because we already saw that he did it,
but he's safe right now.
But he's safe right now. So yay.
Yeah, for now. That's
for now. Okay.
Right.
That's the scary part.
Okay.
Yeah. Are we able to discuss today's events? Talk about that at all?
At this time, I would rather you guys not.
Okay.
Sounds good.
We will revisit. We will revisit after your appeal's completed and you're open to talk. We'll
we would love 100%. We will come back.
Yeah.
And anything that we could, between now and when we put this show up, anything that goes in the description, that can go in the description, that will help this, absolutely, please send it to us so that we can do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will have, if you're listening, please join the call to action in the description box of this video, both on YouTube and on the audio platforms. We have links there. There's a GoFundMe. You can sign a petition, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. And it's for all pets. It's not just for dogs, but we want their best interests legally recognized. I feel like we're asking for such a small thing, and it should have already been there. I mean, whether it's between two spouses or ex-spouses or two friends or two neighbors, I feel like the ruling factor, or at least something that should be considered when making a decision for custody of any pet, is where is the pet going to maintain a quality of life? Where is the pet going to be safe? Is going to have access to potable water and consistent feedings and be happy and healthy and safe? And I feel like I was shocked, and I have learned a lot through this whole experience, through my tears and my frustration. I had no idea that pets were just property, that they were no better than, a tape, or a pencil or a TV. I had no idea that their best interests weren't recognized. To me, that's unfathomable, and it's not right, and it needs to be changed.
We agree 100%. And we actually, one of our favorite guests that we've had on a few times is Melissa from East Coast Corgi Rescue. So in the Northeast there, where you live, it's bad on puppy mills, and they've had a hard time. Your dogs that are purchased, generally speaking, I am in generalities here, but generally speaking, when dogs are purchased from, we're pro rescue here 100%, but we're also not anti-breeder. We're anti-puppy mill and anti-irresponsible breeding. And so what we've talked about with Melissa, and we've learned a little bit of what you're educating us here as well about, and that is the way that animals are looked at. And I know that you had mentioned, Christina, the Amish, and they're very bad on puppy mills, and they look at animals as commodities.
Right.
Like, like that. And so we've learned that that's a big problem. It's a problem for a myriad of reasons. Obviously, Kano's story here is very telling, but also with rescue groups, the generally speaking, the pups that are purchased from reputable breeders where you pay a lot of money, you get health testing, registration, you have a lineage of where that dog came from.
Yes.
Generally speaking, those pups don't wind up in rescues
No.
because those people made mindful decisions. They invested time, money, like you did with Kano, your rescue. They don't wind up back in shelters. It's puppy mill dogs. You don't know what kind of health you're getting. You don't have any lineage. They're crossbred a lot. They're way too many litters. There's so many problems that stem from that attitude of looking at animals as property, as not living things that breathe and hurt and have pain and have needs just like humans do.
Yeah.
And there's so much evidence out there that proves that they are in fact sentient. I mean, it's just a very outdated and ironically inhumane way to look at things. I think it's something that people do to justify their actions because it makes them able to sleep at night. But that doesn't change a fact is a fact, right? So we know scientifically that they do feel and they have memory. I've seen Kano go through nightmares. I've seen him be reactive to things that objects in my home that I was told he was hit with. So I know that I've seen it myself, but there's also, your listeners can go out and research it. There's plenty out there.
If I may,
Mm-hmm.
I have been very fortunate this past year to amass the following on TikTok that I have had. And when this little underbite doggy came into our life, I was to say the least, last Valentine's Day, Sofia came over. She just showed up, had no idea she was coming over. She cooked dinner. She's like, "So we need to talk." And I'm like, "On Valentine's Day? Are you kidding me?" But she's like, "No." She's like, I agreed to temporarily foster a puppy. His name is Kano, and he's a bulldog, and I'm going to be getting him this Friday. I'm like, "I'll be there." And we came over, and that's where the story started.
Yeah.
And then through the ups and downs on that, seeing how he didn't know how to play with toys, how he wasn't even properly house trained. We have so many funny stories.
I'm sure.
So many laughs.
Right.
Like trying to figure out what food he can eat and everything. We had no information, and then it gets down to March and we go meet at the dog park and they say, "Go ahead and keep the dog." And we're like, "Yes, this is so great." And then everything happens. And then they're like, "Wait a minute, you said we could. It's not fair." And then they're like, "Well, document." And I'm like, awesome. That being said, when I posted that video on TikTok and overnight it got up to 2 million views,
Wow.
I didn't think that this was a big deal until I had hundreds of people messaging me saying, like, "I'm going through the same thing. We support you. We are with you. We understand. Like, we are Team Kano." And it has been very eye-opening, to say the least.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I feel like it bleeds into other scenarios. I've gotten personal messages myself where I was just speaking to a store owner today, and she said if an owner comes in with a dog covered in mats the size of tennis balls and just clearly doesn't look like it's being quite taken care of, I am not allowed to report it because according to the law, the fact that they're even entering into a pet store makes them a very good pet owner or a caregiver.
Wow.
And therefore you cannot report it. And there's other people that are, messaging me saying, "Hey, I see my neighbor and his dogs are chained out all the time and they're bony looking and there's, stagnant water in their bowls that's clearly dirty and a couple of pieces of kibble scattered throughout and they don't look well. But I've called and I've reported and nothing's being done because technically there is a bowl of water there and therefore they are being provided with nutrition." And it's just wrong. They find loopholes and it's wrong.
I know, love him or hate him. We had a county sheriff. Everybody knows Joe Arpaio. Love him or hate him. I'm not talking politics, but the one thing that you have to give him credit for is he is such an animal lover, and fortunately in Maricopa County, they would go in and they would rescue.
You could get prosecuted.
You
Yeah,
could get- you
Arizona
could
is a
get
little is
prosecuted.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a per state. But I think that overall, I'm sure not all the laws are in line because you can only do so much. But I love that you've brought up your TikTok channel and how this has
Yes.
grown, because what this tells us is that there is strength in numbers.
Absolutely.
And we can change this, and
Yes.
this is how things get changed. So I want to talk about, and again, if you are viewing, description box, I will drop all the relevant links. If you're listening, it will also be included in the description of the episode. But as you're listening, if anybody's driving and listening to this, or otherwise, can you please tell us, go ahead and spell out to our listeners where to go so that we can help be the change?
Absolutely. So on change.org, it's under our petition to get the best interests of our pets legally recognized and protected across the entire United States. You go to change.org, and it's pets are family, not property. And we really want to make sure that there's an emphasis on that. Congressmen, legislation, they need to recognize that someone or any living thing that can breathe, grow, think, feel, have emotion, memory, that is not equal to an inanimate object. It's just not biologically, not scientifically. It's
Mhm.
not. And I think it's time that the laws align with morals and morality. And I
Yeah.
think there's a huge conflict with that right now. And it's one that I personally don't understand, is if the laws were created to protect, then why aren't they aligning with what is morally correct? Right.
Oh.
So we're trying to fight that.
Okay.
The philosophy, there's this huge, just like the range. Like we talk about the attitude of sticking dogs outside on a chain, and we have birthday parties for our dogs.
Right.
They have their own beds in their own rooms, and
Pretty much.
it is such a vast difference of attitudes. I'm like, this is my son. I gave birth to him.
This is true. I saw the pregnancy.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at. I'm going to push on the flip side of that. Will legislation like this, and I know that there are going to be people who are listening to this, ask the question: will legislation like this stop? Christine, I know you're vegan. I'm not. Will that stop agricultural?
Oh, you think, would it bleed over?
Would it bleed over into agricultural?
Ooh, there's a lot of money there.
Yeah.
Well, ours is specifically for companion animals at this point.
Okay.
So that is strictly your domesticated or pets. That is strictly for what our petition is, although
Okay.
what the future holds,
Right.
I personally think we're going to change the world with this, but that's just me.
We are here to help.
We're here to help.
Listen, everybody's got a superhero story. You just got to take the right steps.
That's right.
Well, and this is how things get changed, as we said. I mean, any major change to legislation, to things that have changed in the world, things that we have improved, have started. Unfortunately, animals suffer, humans suffer, but through that suffering is how we can change things
Absolutely.
and be the change. So, Corgi Town USA listeners, followers, please like and subscribe. Thank you if you are new here today. Every Thursday, new episodes. But please go to the links that Sofia has explained to us and sign the petition.
Sign the petition. It's
Yes,
change.org.
thank you.
Change.org. Please say that again, Sophia.
Change.org, and then it's / pets are family, not property.
Pets are family, not property.
And the link is in the description box. So if you're
Absolutely.
listening and you're driving, please go to the platform that you listen on, or go to our YouTube page and also see on the episode there where you can click on the link to help. That is the call to action. Let's save Kano, and let's save others like Kano and change this. And we will wrap it up there. We do want to have you back on. Are you allowed to share when your appeal is and how long you think that trial will take, or is that a no-no right now?
No, we can talk about timelines for sure.
Okay.
I mean, unfortunately, so the appeal has started. Our opening brief or initiating document is due February 13th.
Okay.
So we're in a bit of a crunch time to get that put together and submitted to the court. Then after that, the other party has 30 days to respond, and then basically then it's up to the court it's on the court's timeline when the judges get around to it, basically. So it could be a few months to a year or more before the judges look at it, read it, and issue a decision. And then after that, it could go back down to the original court that it came from for further proceedings. So this is Sofia and Kano and Mitch. They're in it for the long haul, unfortunately. So they're definitely going to need support for a long time.
Goodness. Well, we're here to support you however we can help. Those slow moving wheels of justice.
Yeah.
So do you have? So I'm so gosh, I can't explain how relieved I am that Kano is in your care right now.
In your care. And
Thank you.
Are you going to have to? Do you have a date on when you have to give him back while there's trial, or can you share that?
Yeah, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to speak to this because what I say can't be used against you necessarily.
Okay.
So right now there is an order from the trial court that Kano needs to have been returned months ago. However, we filed a motion to stay execution of judgment, which means like press pause on that order. The first judge that we had for that motion to stay was going to grant it, but then he said, you know what, I don't feel like dealing with this right now. I'm going to let the original judge rule on the motion. So we got kicked back to the original judge who messed all this up in the first place. And then all she did was spend time justifying her original decision and denied the motion. And then when we took the motion to the appellate court, they said, you didn't tell us what the original judge said, even though I did. So they said, we're denying it. So, I mean, technically right now, Kano is supposed to be in their hands. They did take steps to try to follow the order this morning. However, the plaintiffs did not adhere to their side of the order. So this particular issue of Kano being in whose possession pending the appeal is going to be litigated further at the trial court. Technically right now, Sofia is in contempt of a court order, although I think we have a good argument to say that plaintiffs are in contempt.
right.
So as usual with an attorney, the answer is never a short one, but yeah, so there's still a lot going on. And so the more support that Sofia and Kano can get to keep Kano in Sofia's hands pending the appeal, the better.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
sign the petition, and there's also a GoFundMe, correct?
Yes,
there is.
Okay.
Tell us about the GoFundMe. We will also share that link, but please tell our listeners.
Thank you.
Um,
The GoFundMe. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, give me a second.
That's okay. That's very emotional.
We started the GoFundMe because, well, court's expensive.
Yes.
I was talking to a very good friend of mine, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna have to sell all my guitars. And he said, no, you're not going to, because I'm gonna give you the majority of this stuff. And he made a massive donation.
Wow.
And that really kickstarted everything for us. We were able to go from there. And once people saw his donation, then it came in and came in and it came in, and it's still coming in. And we're
Good.
to say humbled would be the word, in awe, shocked, thankful, grateful. All of that it doesn't compare to what we truly feel for everybody helping us out with this. I remember when
Tell us where to go. Tell the audience where to go, so that, because I mean, anyone hearing this, if they can, are
Yes.
probably going to want to help. So please tell us where to go. The GoFundMe.
So
And we'll
you
share
go
that
to
link.
GoFundMe. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. And we can't thank everyone enough. It's been a tremendous amount of support, but it's GoFundMe and it's Keep Kano Home.
Keep
And,
Kano
You
and
type
home.
that in.
please
Keep
spell
Kano
Kano. Please spell
Sure.
Kano for us.
Sure. It's Kano.
Kano.
GoFundMe. Keep Kano home.
Kano. Keep
Yes.
Kano home. I know. I have one more question.
Oh, not Cat talking more.
Given the background of Kano's owner, and given the state that Kano was in. I don't know. I guess my question is like, if, heaven forbid, Kano goes back and Kano is not treated properly, is that grounds for parole violation because of violence? Is that grounds for anything?
Well, you're assuming that he's on parole
Oh, that's
when
true.
you ask that question.
That's true.
If
That's
he's
true.
out, he may just be out, may
Out.
have time served.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of details we don't know about the plaintiff who was in jail at the time. So we can't really speak to the details, but
Right.
I mean, you know, I think you raise a good point in terms of one of the failures, and one of the many failures in this case is that veterinarian who did the initial checkup on Kano, I think the veterinarian should have reported this abuse. I think if the veterinarian, because veterinarians are mandatory reporters when it comes to dog bites and animal abuse. So why this veterinarian didn't take it upon himself to do it is kind of beyond me. And I'm not trying to place blame here, but I think that would have gone a long way to
Right.
protect Kano from the beginning, especially because he does have a criminal history.
Right. Is it possible for the vet to go back and say, oh, by the way, or is that too late?
I mean, in terms of the court case that Sofia is currently caught up in, it's not going to make a difference because it's after the fact.
Yeah.
If it had been done beforehand, then yeah, it probably would have made a difference. But to go back and do it now, it's not going to make a difference. And since there's a court case pending, a lot of veterinarians are like allergic to touching legal things.
Right.
Okay. Because we did reach out to the veterinarian to try to get some support for the motion to stay, and the veterinarian was not interested.
Okay.
Probably puts their practice at risk.
Right. And something else for our listeners, if you find yourself in a situation like this, ask the veterinarian to please report it, to please put it as documentation.
Yeah, this is something that we've learned today. Yeah. Well, thank you all. I know this is a lot, and it's a lot that you're going through. We're here to support you. We encourage our audience to please go to the GoFundMe page if you can, but definitely sign the petition. And I will drop those links in these episodes so that you can have a quick link. And we will have you back on after you've gone through appellate court and done that process and try to get an update on Kano. Meanwhile, we're here pulling for you. We're here for any time. Feel free to reach out to us at Corgi Nation. Any way we can help you if there's new developments where you need strength in numbers. We're very passionate about this too. Our dogs are our life.
That's right.
Our lives. Our lives. Our dogs are our lives. So we're here to help. And thank you all for your time and coming on and sharing your story.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
It means a lot. It really does.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great evening, everybody.
Yes,
Thank
you as
you
well.
as
Thank you
well.
again.
Take care.
Thank
you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Oh, I'm so moved.
I
mean, I've had like happy and sad tears, like all at once.
All at once, yeah.
And anger and bewilderment.
I'm shocked at how well behaved I am.
I'm very proud of you, Kat.
Thank you. It's angering. It's aggravating. It's frustrating. It's the good guy, getting slapped for being a good guy.
It happens. That happens in life.
So,
but what we can do is be the change.
We can be the change.
Let's be the change.
Sign that petition. GoFundMe, even if it's $1, that even if it's like a cup of that, frou-frou coffee that you don't have one day this week, please.
Okay, Kat, simmer down.
I know.
No, definitely sign the petition, please. And then you can also follow Landon Axel on TikTok. He's got quite a few shorts there on sort of the story and kind of where it is as well. And I think he's been good about posting updates.
And if your council members or your assembly people or whoever, have the conversation with them,
and we'll find out more about how you can do that.
Absolutely.
And there'll be more developments there, and we will have them back on after they've gone through the appellate process. Meanwhile, please like and subscribe. Not all of our content is as heavy or focused. Sometimes we have some fun creators on. We also just talk about life and health of traveling with your pets, your corgis, your dogs. Thank you so much for joining us. Here for you every Thursday in new episodes, Corgi Town, USA, from Candy, Cat, Chuckles, Digby, Mortimer, Hammer, and Booger. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.
Bye.